At exactly 2:17 a.m., a veteran rider looked to his left and saw himself riding beside him. Same bike, same posture, same helmet, same slow, steady breathing. The only difference was this: the other version of him had no headlight reflection in the mirrors behind them. And when the rider turned his head to look again, the highway was empty, except for the echo of an engine that wasn't his. There are roads that test your reflexes, roads that punish mistakes, and roads that demand respect. But there is one stretch of asphalt riders avoid for a different reason entirely. Not because it's dangerous, not because it's violent, but because people who ride it late at night report something far worse. They see themselves riding alongside them, matching their speed, their movements, their turns, like a living reflection that doesn't belong to any mirror. They call it the Doppelgänger Highway. The road cuts through a remote plateau where cell signals die without warning, and the sky feels unnaturally wide. Long, straight miles with no exits, no gas stations, no houses. Just the sound of wind scraping across the pavement and the low rumble of your engine. During the day, it's forgettable. At night, it becomes something else. The first documented account came from a rider named Mark Holloway, a man with 20 years on the road and zero interest in ghost stories. He was returning from a late delivery run, riding steady at 55, mind calm, body relaxed. That's when he noticed a second engine sound creeping into his peripheral hearing. Not louder, not softer, just parallel. He glanced left, expecting to see a car or another bike. Instead, he saw himself. Same jacket crease at the shoulder, same scuffed saddlebag, same slight lean forward he'd developed after years of riding. Even the timing was perfect. When Mark adjusted his throttle, the other rider adjusted at the exact same moment. When he shifted lanes, the figure beside him shifted too, holding perfect formation. Mark's first thought was exhaustion. His second was fear. He forced himself to slow down. The other rider slowed with him. He accelerated. So did the figure. Finally, heart racing, Mark slammed the brakes and came to a full stop on the shoulder. The other rider did not stop. It continued forward, still riding at 55, never turning its head, never acknowledging him. And then it faded, as if swallowed by the darkness ahead. Mark sat on the shoulder for nearly 10 minutes, unable to move, staring down the road where his double had vanished. When he finally reached home, he checked his dash cam. The footage showed only one bike on the road. At first, riders dismissed the story as fatigue or imagination. Long roads can play tricks on the mind. But then the reports multiplied, and the details became too consistent to ignore. Different riders, different bikes, different nights, same experience, always late, always alone, always on the same stretch of highway. Some reported seeing their double ahead of them, riding just far enough to never catch. Others saw it beside them, perfectly aligned, close enough to feel the imagined heat of an engine that wasn't there. A few riders said the doppelganger turned its head toward them, and when it did, there was no face behind the visor, just darkness where a reflection should have been. The most disturbing case involved a woman named Elena Cruz, a former endurance rider who prided herself on mental discipline. She encountered her double just after midnight, riding side by side for nearly 3 miles. Unlike others, Elena didn't panic. She decided to test it. She lifted her left hand. The other rider lifted its left hand at the same time. She reached up and tapped her helmet twice. So did the doppelganger. Then Elena did something no one else had dared to do. She changed lanes and moved directly into the other rider's space. For a fraction of a second, she felt resistance, like pushing through thick air. Then her bike lurched violently. Elena woke up in a ditch with her engine stalled and her helmet cracked. There were no skid marks, no evidence of another vehicle. And yet her jacket sleeve bore a long smear of rubber, as if it had brushed against a tire that never existed. She never rode that highway again. Researchers suggest optical illusions, fatigue-induced hallucinations, or a rare neurological effect caused by monotony and rhythmic motion. But those explanations fall apart when confronted with one chilling detail repeated by nearly every witness. The doppelganger never casts a shadow and never appears in mirrors or cameras. Some riders believe the highway acts like a psychological mirror, a place where isolation and repetition fracture the mind just enough to project a second self. Others whisper about older beliefs, about roads that sit on fault lines not just of earth, but of reality. Places where the boundary between who you are and who you might have been grows thin. There is an even darker theory among seasoned riders, one they rarely say out loud. They believe the doppelganger is not copying you. They believe it's replacing you. Old-timers point to accidents on that highway where witnesses swore they saw a rider pass them moments before discovering a crashed bike further down the road, same color, same model, same gear, as if one version continued on while the other was left behind. No official records acknowledge these claims. The highway remains open. Traffic flows. Life goes on. But among bikers who know the road, there is an unspoken rule. If you see another rider matching you perfectly on that stretch of highway, do not acknowledge it. Do not interact. And whatever you do, do not try to ride closer. Because the moment you stop trusting your own reflection, the road has already decided something for you. If you've made it this far, you understand why this story is different. Crashes can be explained. Ambushes can be understood. But seeing yourself ride beside you, perfectly calm, perfectly silent, and perfectly wrong, that kind of mystery stays with you long after the engine cools. Stay with us, because next time we investigate a phenomenon even riders refuse to joke about. A convoy of motorcycles seen riding through the desert with no headlights, no engines, and no living riders. Next episode on Real Outlaw Roads, the Ghost Convoy.